Okay. All right, the Grand Rapids Town Board is meeting today, Wednesday, March 12, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Town of Grand Rapids Municipal Building. First agenda item is Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next agenda item is approve agenda for meeting. Any changes? Okay. All right, then approve minutes of the February 12th, 2025 Town Board meeting.
Madam Chair, I'll so move.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Public comment. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with the public comment limited to a total of 30 minutes. Note, the board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during public comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on the agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. Any public comment? Sure.
Ron Happ, 2521 Blueberry Lane. I would like to thank the board for allowing us to put those edge of pavement delineators up. Every year I'm continuing to be amazed as how fast those guys can go and how close they can come to those delineators without hitting the darn things. I've had 7 of them up each year for, I'm going to say the past at least 3 years, maybe more. They finally hit one this year. And I don't know if it was, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm saying that in a humorous tone. So, thank you for doing that. Mike, good job with the crew. You know, I don't know who's plowing it, but, so thanks for that.
Any other public comment? Okay. Next agenda item, monthly reports from the departments. We'll start with Fire Department.
All right, good evening, board and residents. We're currently staffed with 46 members for fire and EMS. We're always looking for motivated individuals. Stop by the fire station or contact me if you're interested in serving your community. Service calls for the month of February. We had 52 calls for service, 42 EMS calls, 10 fire calls. That compares to 27 EMS calls and this time last year, and 8 calls this time last year for fire. So we're already up to 92 EMS calls in 2 months. So we are off to a brisk start. Last year we had 393 EMS calls. So we're off to a blistering pace. Of those fire calls, 5 were in Grand Rapids, 2 were in Saratoga, and 2 were mutual aid. We had 2 structure alarms, 2 mutual aid, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 2 wildland brush calls, and 1 carbon monoxide call. Our monthly department training consisted of the EMS group refreshed on anaphylactic shock and use of epinephrine through auto injectors and draw-up epi. On the fire side, we did a joint training with Buren and the DNR on our annual wildland firefighting refresher. So the department had 1 department meeting, 3 training meetings, and 1 officer meeting. Just under public relation, the day of the election, we'll be doing another open house and brat fry and soup. So stop by and see us when you vote. And we'll have some yummy stuff over there. We did 1 house with smoke detectors this month, no signs yet. That'll get rocking here as the ground thaws. And for the month of February, there were no injuries to report. Any questions from the board? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Police Department.
Good evening all. For February, the police department received 339 calls for service. Statistics are broken down on the report. In February, we were trained on updates to the lethality assessment protocol. There's a new form. The training was actually mandatory before you use the form, so the entire PD took care of that. It's a screening tool for victims of domestic violence to be provided needed services. Investigator Kubushak and Officer Condover conducted active shooter threat training for a local business. That was actually at the end of January, but it didn't make it on last month's report. PD officers are on schedule to have epinephrine training completed by early 2025. That's something that a local resident reached out to us. It's very important to them for us to be trained up and have a supply of epinephrine along, it's equated to Narcan if someone's having an allergic reaction. So United Emergency Medical is going to provide that training for us. Cody Conover set that up through them. So hopefully by late spring, we'll have everyone trained up and be carrying that. Drug take back has been scheduled for April 26th at Pick and Save in Wisconsin Rapids, and that's for all Southwood County agencies. That's all we really had last month. Questions or comments?
Okay. I actually think you should brag about what went on today, for that Grand Rapids was the lowest of all the reports.
Oh, yeah, the Traffic Safety Committee meeting today, the town of Grand Rapids had the lowest traffic crashes for last quarter, so, or for this quarter, for quarter one. So, 54 and Griffith were identified as, risky areas, which really isn't a surprise. Those are pretty busy roads. Yes, sir?
Has there been any crashes or in the roundabout?
There have been, yes. In fact, 2 hit and runs in the last couple months. At least one of those, though, we identified the driver. I think both of them we identified the driver. There was also one this winter as a result from an attempted fleeing, but they went over the top of the roundabout and didn't go any farther. So.
Any injuries?
No, no injuries were reported there. So.
What do they think about it after they crash?
I wasn't there. I didn't ask them, but I did hear that roundabouts there actually is a small percentage increase of collisions, but they're much less severe and much lower injuries, and that's why I think so many states have started implementing them. Because it's a human life factor more than more than your vehicle. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
And the bright light system might be looked at too.
Yep. And I am going to take care of that. So. Thanks.
Thanks, Chief.
Public Works?
Good afternoon, everybody. Since last board meeting, we were out 7 different times with the trucks for snow and ice conditions. One of those resulted in plowing the town 1 complete time. We spent 2 days helping or doing some building maintenance over at the fire station with Bob. Got our normal patching we've been going on with pothole season upon us. We finished up some mastic patching as well with Wood County Highway on Airport Avenue and some very shallow potholes. We did some salt shed repairs with cables and some boards that needed some attention. Weight limits went up yesterday, became effective today. And we also did some repairs to a fire truck, which took us 1 whole day. So that's all we've got since last month.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
And Jewel is not here today, so if you have any questions about her report, just connect with her. All right, next agenda item is consideration and possible action on Plan Commission's recommendation for the use of zoning hub software.
Jenna is here if you have any questions.
I'll make that motion to approve the recommendation from the Planning Commission to use Zoning Hub software. I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, seventh agenda item is consideration and possible action on community support for airport terminal rehabilitation project.
And I don't, do you want to speak on that or no?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a bit over my head, but as we do a report every month, and then during my airport committee report, I'll delve a little bit more into it also, but this strictly relates to our master plan of the airport updating, terminal upgrades, tarmac upgrades, runway upgrades, and so on. You've heard me blab about overhead obstructions or overheight trees. This is all part of this. SEH Consulting is the ones that are behind our master plan for the most part, and they work very closely with the Bureau of Aeronautics in this. And Lisa did include the flyer. There was kind of a rendition of some possible upgrades if anyone would like to see a color picture, that I do have that, but just very preliminary, and lot of grant money out there, and of course we as a town provide funds to that airport also, and so that's where our money goes to also.
So we just need
Just a motion to approve the letter of support.
Okay.
I'll make that motion then.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Number 8, consideration and possible action on payment to Neiman's Towing and Recovery for storage fee for impounded vehicle, and discuss need for impounded fencing at the town.
And I don't think I gave anybody a note sheet this time because I was kind of rushed. And Chief Zerflu can talk on it more. This is the invoice due to the impound vehicle, and then you've got the quotes for the fencing. And it's not that he's necessarily asking for the fencing this year, but just to kind of see that fence has been requested for quite a few years throughout budget season, and the cost of a new fence is, when you look at what this invoice, the expense is, I think it's definitely something the board absolutely needs to look at least at this next budget season, to put a fence out here so that, because this can happen at any point, and the county's pretty much full that they're not gonna have room for, so I don't know. Do you have anything else you wanna add on it, or?
Well, yeah, whenever there's a fatality especially, we're keeping these vehicles sometimes for 3 years. I've even seen longer. The DA, we have a new DA now, but they really want them held through the appeal window. So even after, it could be a year, it could be almost 2 years before it even goes to trial, if it's gonna go to trial, if it's a criminal case. So that's really the reason why I think we should just think about it. I did get 2 quotes. They seem reasonable for what we're asking for. They're both pretty close. There's 2 different sizes I had them quote, so. But I think for a township our size, I mean, my ideal would be to have the capacity to hold 6 vehicles, which really is only 3 incidents, so maybe a 2 vehicle incident. As far as the, and I can get more into, I guess, the need for like our statutory requirement to hold evidence, if you guys all want. The bill, we don't need action on though, right now. Other avenues are being explored, so Neiman's is really working with us and doesn't want to stick us with it, so hopefully those will all pan out, so.
Okay, question? So, I'm surprised at this because I've heard the one at the county is available to any municipality that wants to use it, and you can store them up to 6-8 years in there. I'm surprised because I go to those meetings and,
Well, the county wasn't asked about this. This was a decision kind of made that night. But I do know, and the county's never told us no if they have the room.
yeah.
But their indoor has had one bay open until recently for a long, long time. Now with the new jail, I think some of the other stuff in there might be getting moved.
Yeah.
Which might open up a little bit more. But you just can't predict. I mean, you could have, 0 a year, like our traffic safety numbers look pretty good. Or you could get multiple. It's incredibly hard to predict, and 10 has been a problem for the county. And all those vehicles, if it's a fatal, those are all going there, and those all have to have a place to go to.
So would it have to be enclosed, the fence, so you couldn't see what was in there?
No, not necessarily. They make those slats that go in between
Okay, yeah.
the links, and that's fairly inexpensive, as I understand. I did talk to Mike about identifying areas to put it. There is an option here, if you don't want it here, there's an option kind of potentially anyway, maybe back by the fire department, like behind their septic. Or even at the top, kind of out of the way, but as long as it would be under video surveillance. Basically all it is a 7-foot chain link, 3 strands of barbed wire on top, and the quotes were for the smaller size at, just under $6,000 for one. The other one was, the other one was $5,200. So, and I mean, like I said, this isn't an ask right now.
Okay.
It's just something that I would like us to talk about, I guess, a little more in the future. So.
Do you need any action on that then? Okay. All right. Next agenda item is consideration and possible action for a request from City of Marshfield to consider transfer of reserve Class B liquor license.
Madam Chair.
Yep.
So just maybe a couple general points. This item as well as number 15 are somewhat linked, just like we talked about last month. A reminder that Act 73 changed a bit in how liquor licenses, reserve Class B licenses specifically, can be transferred, and did open it up a bit more to how those can be transferred now, being able to be transferred anywhere within the county. And so I think a number of municipalities received a request from the city. You have a copy of the city's request to us. And I think you can probably see the other municipalities, a lot of them, they cast their net wide. And their question is whether or not the town of Grand Rapids wants to potentially transfer the license and what those terms would be to do so.
And I've talked to several people about this, and even people from Marshfield. I really think we should keep those licenses here for people establishing new bars and things like that. And it's nice. We used to have it out at the park, and they would use our license for it. And I just think keeping it here is the thing to do. I'm not in favor of it.
I would have to say I have been on the same lines as that as well, but I was just informed that we had 3 for a very long time.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Since 1997 is the minutes I had found where it was made official that we had 3 reserve, yes.
But I had the same thoughts for the same reasons of new businesses coming here and them having the opportunities as well, but I don't know what that looks like if I've had them a long time and needing different resources. I don't know. So I guess I'm kind of on the
Madam
fence.
Chair, I could probably speak to that.
Mhm.
A couple of things that actually tells you. So first, the reason that we've had it since then was because law changed and set quotas, and so there was a calculation that everybody had to do to identify regular and reserve licenses. So there is a mechanism to increase your reserve, but as you can see, it doesn't happen easily. It happens with the population increase, and it's not likely to happen for us. So to the point, these are finite, and when you transfer it, that's final. You know, that transfer would decrease your reserve licenses down by 1 and increase theirs by 1. And so I think that speaks to the idea that for a long time, we haven't had an increase in that reserve amount. Also, at that time, that established all those licenses, a lot of regular licenses too, so we've been kind of using up on regular licenses. That's common, that's actually very normal, because reserve licenses have a issuance fee of $10,000. So you're always going to exhaust your regular licenses because there's some transfer allowances with that, there's some obviously financial reasons that you would issue those regular ones. But we've issued them, and we're about out of them. I don't know that we have any regular left.
We do not. Our
And
regular
so
are out.
We're at the point of reserve, and if somebody comes in and wants a Class B license, we will issue our reserve if they are willing to pay that $10,000 and qualify for the license.
I would also like to comment in for keeping what we have. They do have a little bit of a priceless value, and we can't turn away new business. So I'm in for keeping what we have also.
I would concur. I mean, I think you look at, in the last couple of years, the couple that have actually gone out, and because business came into the community, so I think to lose that opportunity for somebody is not good for Grand Rapids.
Okay, yeah.
Question?
We already started discussion, so we can't take questions, sorry.
Well, technically, discussion starts with the motion and second. We haven't had
Oh.
that, so,
All right.
and likely won't have a motion and second from what I'm hearing, and so you could if
Figure
you
the rules out.
Okay,
chose to.
go ahead.
So, I was understanding from past discussions that all the licenses, there was at least one license we had that wasn't being utilized, and you guys were looking to void it, get it back or something?
That was about 6 years ago.
Well, not in my recollection it was.
Oh,
I think
I
just
can
this-
speak to
yeah.
it. So what you're referencing was a adjustment. We did a number of adjustments. That was one, though, that we adjusted in our ordinance relating to alcohol beverage licensing. Municipalities have the ability to put in provisions that allow for a revocation, essentially, of a license that if the business is inactive. It doesn't require that the municipality do it at any point, but it does give a mechanism. For example, if you were all out of licenses and somebody was sitting on a license for a long time and not operating a business, it would give a mechanism to start the revocation process. So that's all we did. It wasn't with the intention to revoke anybody's license or for any specific license at all. It was just to give a mechanism to get the licenses back if we issued them and we had a number of businesses that weren't continuing in the town.
Yeah, the tone of the discussion, as I recall, was it wasn't being utilized. You used them all up, and what happened if somebody needed one? And you were, I think that's what you said.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so this is just
consensus.
all right. All right, February disbursement vouchers. I have an error, it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's supposed to be public buildings, not personnel. All right, next agenda item is operator license applications.
I can make the motion to approve the one-year operator license for Jeffrey Landon as presented.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Monthly reports from the committees, Public Works. All right. Airport.
Along with our small discussion earlier, our committee met February 13th of 2025 with full board and a large audience. We had representatives from SEH, our consulting firm, and the Bureau of Aeronautics were all on hand. I believe 2 from each firm were on hand for questions and so on. Again, bids for the obstruction removals, like I mentioned, are being posted. Those are as another reminder, are for the aerial obstructions or tall trees. Some gate repairs and the controller for one of the gates have been replaced, and the one gate that was right by the terminal that has had some issues. Those photo eyes have been changed, so it does not slam on any vehicles anymore. GM Sickler has completed the hazmat reports needed and for authorization for the permit and license for our fuel sales, and then which is just an annual process, but Jeremy has those taken care of. Under new business, there's a lot of, I guess, hype you could call it, going around for the NFL draft. Green Bay and Appleton area are just going to be slammed with air travel from the draft. They're expecting like upwards of a million, I had heard, of spectators for this, and just audience for this event. That is April 24th, 25th, 26th. Again, GM Sickler has reached out to offer assistance to any of those surrounding airports if they need storage places. We really do like to promote our large hangar for the real expensive planes and so on, if in case there's some inclement weather. A standard operating procedure, or SOP, has been in development stage with GM Sickler and Mayor Zacher. And public comment we had from the EA Chapter 706. They have an event on May 3rd, which is the Young Eagles Workshop in, again, our large hangar. And it's for the younger individuals interested in pilot training and I guess airplane info in general. Thank you to Jenna. I believe one of the chapter members reached out to you for that sign. It was on our property, and I think they wanted to rehab it or reface it or something. They just want to make sure they're doing the right thing. He didn't reach out to you? I gave you a heads up on it, but he didn't reach out?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Paul, I
Yes.
believe.
I gave him a sign permit.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I couldn't remember.
That was a month ago.
I know, it's a long time ago.
Okay, and I guess lastly, thank you for the community support and the board's support for they call the Gateway to the Community project for the rehab at our airport. So that's all I have. Next meeting will be canceled. That was supposed to have been March 6th. Not enough items for an agenda, so. Thank you.
Recycling, solid waste and water, Patty's not here, and has anything. Plan commission.
I can pitch it for
Okay.
that one. So the Plan Commission met on March 10th, 2025. Did issue one chicken permit, had a discussion and consideration of a CSM, but did table that to work through some logistics, primarily around zoning. Then also reviewed the zoning regulations related to small-scale solar energy installations. Specifically in that discussion, had identified a couple ordinances, municipal ordinances that exist to kind of look closer into, and I believe the chairperson of the Plan Commission is going to Also reach out to the City of Wisconsin Rapids, which was one of the ordinances that were being looked at, just to see how that ordinance administration is going, if there's anything that, that we should be taking note of as we consider possible zoning or regulations related to the small-scale solar energy installations. Just another general note, though, because of the way that the month falls, I think there's some consideration being given to the day that the Plan Commission may meet, so they may meet before the town board. I don't know that that's finalized, but it is being considered, I think, at this point, just because of the way that that month falls, so we can kind of process this stuff without losing a month, basically, before it gets to the town board next. That's all I have.
Public buildings, do you have any update on the sign? Or no update yet?
Yeah, there is, we do have some progress being made, thanks to Lisa and Jenna for having all the proverbial ducks in a row. Jenna already had a permit done, and Lisa was completely on the spot for a down payment and so on. We met with the vendor, Mike and I met with the vendor the other day for some staking, possible stakings, but Mike is going to gather more info on that. We may want to make sure we don't stick a post in the septic system. And
the locates were all called in wrong, so we're going to recall those in tomorrow, so.
okay. And electrical,
I have been working on that as well,
Okay.
so that's pretty much in the bag.
they were given, the vendor did give us all the electrical requirements too, and Mike's working on that. So that is all.
Right. Anything for legislative?
Maybe just a general note so I do probably have enough items to meet on. I did talk with Mike briefly before the meeting, and I think there's a pending item that may be introduced as well, but it's going to likely be going through the Public Works Committee before it would go to legislative. I would anticipate within, probably not this month, but next month, we could maybe propose setting up a meeting, and I'll kind of feel out dates on our next town board meeting to see when your availability would be.
Okay. Public safety,
Did not.
okay, economic development, didn't meet. Personnel, we did meet to discuss the assistant or admin assistant for the fire department, and we have a top candidate, so that's where we're at. WTA meeting.
The meeting was held on February 21st at the town of Remington. The speaker for that was a Darrell Langdon, who is from the North Central Regional Planning Commission, and he spoke about the bicycle trails in Wood County. And he spoke, nobody was interested, if I may add, and so later on, after the meeting, then he spoke about it, and anybody wanted, and it was just the little maps that he had, so he wasn't very good, but he mentioned the town of Grand Rapids and their proposed ones. I was surprised at them, at where they are, so, and I don't know what Patty is working on that, so. And there's no legislators were present at the meeting. Jack Herrick, District 2 Director, he talked about the district meetings that are coming up and the border review training, and they're going to be in Stevens Point, Marshfield, and Eau Claire are the ones that are left. The next meeting will be March 21st in the town of Richfield. There will be no April meeting, and the speaker will be at the Richfield will be Denise Meade, and Director of Operations of the Southwood County Humane Society. She will be the speaker there. So, any questions? Thank you.
Reports from individual town board members. Jeff?
Nothing tonight.
Jason?
No, again, just thank you to our girls up front and so on for the help with the sign and in this airport project. Thank you.
Bill?
No,
All right, any future agenda items?
Yes, not a future agenda item, but annual meeting, everybody can set the date, third Tuesday in April, so April 15th will be our annual meeting at 6 o'clock.
Can you repeat that date again?
Yes, Tuesday, April 15th
15th,
at
gotcha.
6 o'clock. Everybody look good with that?
They have to.
Right, you don't really have a choice, so just put it in your calendar, is what I'm saying, I guess.
That was courteous of you to
Thank you.
ask.
They have to be.
Thank you.
All right, then we don't need a closed session. So we just need a motion to adjourn.
Future agenda item,
Did that.
Yeah, we did.
can I offer something?
Sure.
Thank you. I noticed there's a lot of 96-gallon garbage cans that sit outside of houses now. I don't know if that's a future agenda item or not. And I noticed that when they pick those things up, about half of them the cover shuts on and about half of them it doesn't. Or the one that doesn't gets full of weather. I'm wondering if they can do something about that. Or at least be aware of it. Maybe they can set them down when the cover shuts too, you know. I don't-
So waste management, those are picked up by the truck now, so I
Understood.
mean,
Yep, exactly.
they land where they land. They do their best to land nicely, but it doesn't always happen and they're in, so I don't think there's really much.
Well, I don't know that, that's why I'm
Oh,
asking.
John.
Maybe,
You need to contact Waste Management and bring it up with them.
They can maybe remind their drivers,
We have
I mean, I
numbers,
guess.
So I can give you a number for the regional rep for Waste Management.
okay,
Um,
does Grand Rapids care?
Well, it's not really, it's not us, they're just we just contract with them. So, I mean, we can't really dictate what Waste Management does with the business.
Okay,
So, but I do have a contact if you would like to reach out to him.
well, you got a little more ammunition coming from a board or a legislative body or something like that.
so I can call them up and tell them I don't want their service.
Yeah, no.
Anything else? All right. Bill, you're always good at this. Bill, we're waiting for you.
Bill, you want an adjourn? Adjourn? She assigned you to adjourn us.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
Jason?
Fight over it.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just wanted to see if I could talk.
We always do, you're always on.
All right.